Thanks so much, Haley. Yeah, so my name's Candice Bakx Friesen. Like Haley mentioned, I'm from Canada. I've got 4 kids. I'm a country girl, so I don't live in a city, but I live about an hour outside of our major city, which is Winnipeg in Canada. And yeah, I do run a few businesses. So I'm a successful real estate agent as well as a money coach. And I have a few other businesses as well. My husband is involved with farming, a couple of sideline businesses related to real estate. We do staging for other realtors as well as our own properties that we list, and property managers and all kinds of different things. And we have rental properties as well. So yeah, it's an exciting time always in our lives, a little bit crazy. And I think when COVID hit, it was one of those like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do with this? And for us, it felt like we just said to the kids, well, this is just another pivot adjustment. It's what we do all the time anyway. So what's the difference? It was just a little bit of a longer one, right? So anyway, just wanted to share a little bit about myself before getting started. And this session's WEN is all about well-being. And sometimes we don't right away associate money with well-being, right? But it's actually such a key piece, and why it's so important to have your finances under control, dealt with, and that it's something that you're regularly looking at. So we often hear, health is wealth. Well, wealth is health too, right? Again, they're all interconnected. So you really want to make sure you have like a holistic look at your life and your business and your finances and all of that coming together. So in my career as a real estate agent, my life and my career are all over the place. There's no regular hours. Everything's kind of chaotic. If someone says, hey, I have an offer for you, you drop everything and you run over there, always rearranging your schedule. So that's not for everybody. Being able to have a 9 to 5 at a desk is much easier, I can tell you. But been doing this for 15 years, so used to the chaos. But anyway, so our finances, our family, friends, our faith, eating well, health, all of that, fitness, all of that has to be, stable, I would say. Not optimal. If you don't work out every day or you haven't worked out in years, it's okay, right? But we need to make sure that it is a focus in our lives. And so if I'm really stressed out at work and I go buy a whole bunch of clothes at the mall, I get home, I realize now I have $400 of credit card debt, I'm more stressed out, I'm not sleeping well. What's the root issue? It's something at work, right? But you can see how, again, everything's interconnected. So trying to have that stability within our life and our finances is really key, I think, to being well overall, right? And being healthy. So a few things I wanted to talk to you about today. I was going to focus in on recession proofing your business, because it's really something that still is at the top of our minds right now. The same talk could have been done during COVID, right? Of like, what do we do with COVID and being prepared for that? And now we're going through the next thing that, people are like, what do I do with this now? So looking at a recession, looking at a downturn in the economy, looking at interest rates going up, and how do we get prepared in our business? And again, the more prepared we can be and the more we think this through, the less surprises, the more we could take care of ourselves, right? Because stress, again, is a killer. So really looking into our business and being prepared. So first one is tracking cash flow. Now, again, if you want to write all of these down, there's 10 or 11 of them. And if you want to write them down, it's a great talk for the breakout, right? So make a few notes. And when you get into the breakout room, you can really discuss it and build on what I'm talking about. So number one is tracking cash flow. So what happens if sales go down? What happens obviously if sales goes up, it's okay, right? But what would happen? So I have a friend who now is going through a downturn. During COVID, she was actually doing great. Now her sales went down 50% since COVID. So that's a huge drop, and she's having to react quickly, right? reducing overhead, reducing all her employees, cut, cut, cut to try and just make it. So we don't always expect these things are going to happen. But again, the more that we can kind of think of the what ifs, the better prepared we're going to be for if it does happen. Another example or another thing to think about under cash flow would be flexible client agreements. So maybe you haven't had to do that yet, but maybe you need to look at payment terms. That could be an option for people. Or if they're purchasing large volume, could you offer them a discount or an incentive or something like that? Sometimes putting a few products together, right, and bundling packages or creating packages might be a way to increase your sales or to be prepared in case you have some issues with cash flow. Second one is focusing on your customer base. So we all kind of know our customers, but how well do you know them? And what are their needs? What are their wants? And how has that changed? So again, we know during COVID, things changed, right? We were really looking at the essentials. We couldn't go travel. We couldn't do all these things. Now that we came out of that, what does it look like? But now that we're maybe going into a recession, what are some issues that maybe some people are having? I've been doing a lot of, they're called opinion of values. So we, when people refinance, they often need like an appraisal, in this case, an opinion of value, to just kind of say what houses are worth so that they can refinance. So I've been doing a lot of those lately. So maybe I don't hear about it on the street, but I know from what I'm going through as a realtor that people are refinancing. They're trying to make sure that they can make their payments when fuel prices have gone up, food's gone up, all these different things have gone up pretty drastically in some cases, right? So what are their needs? What are their wants? How are things changing? And really looking at strengthening your relationships with your customers. So how can you, in your business, how can you strengthen those relationships with your customers? I think that's a really important question to ask yourself and to really dive into in your business. Another thing you could do is asking for referrals and asking for testimonials. So again, sometimes we really focus in on the online part of our business, but there's a lot of money to be made by just building on those relationships, asking for referrals. If you have a happy customer, they probably know a lot more people who also need your service, right? So asking, again, I have a friend who lately her business has been a little bit tough again. And she just said, I don't know why people aren't sending their friends. I'm like, people don't send their friends. People don't just automatically refer as much as we think they do, right? If we don't ask, we don't get. So really, really important to remember. Be bold, be brave, and ask for those referrals. Ask for testimonials and really build relationships with your customers and your clients. Number 3, looking at your inventory. So in my case, in my real estate business, I don't have any inventory, but I've got other costs that I got to look at, which would be labor and having an assistant, a couple assistants and things like that. But if you're in the business where you've got a lot of inventory, how do you know if you have too much or too little, right? Have you really looked at that? Are there ways to save money through maybe using other suppliers for your inventory? Are there different methods of shipping? So inventory can be a big cost for some businesses. Again, the woman who's struggling with sales, hers is high inventory. So she's got to look at ways to quickly slash as much inventory as she can and get those sales out. So inventory can be a real money sucker and a way that you can tie up a lot of cash flow if you're not getting that inventory moving regularly, right? So really look at that if that affects your business. Number 4, streamlining process. So seeing if you can simplify your production. So how you do things. Maybe if you are just somebody who runs, you're a solopreneur, you don't have anyone else involved. Maybe there is no process, like it's just in your head, you just kind of do your thing. But maybe by writing it out, that's one way to really look at, are there ways to simplify things? Again, do a virtual coffee with somebody who's in this group or somebody that's part of the summit. I can do it with you too, just to talk it through with somebody else. often helps us to brainstorm new ideas that could really help our business. So as much as society tells us, do this on your own, you can do this, boss lady, all those things, we need other people. So really, really remember to have a core group of people who you can depend on, who are other business owners, not your spouse necessarily, not your family. You know, they're your family first. They're not your business partner necessarily, or your support in person or mentor in your business, right? So please, please, please find other people who can help you through some of these things. So looking at your processes, writing them down, getting really clear on that. Maybe you can use a virtual assistant or part-time versus full-time help. Maybe you can implement more technology into your processes so you don't need as much labor. That's something, again, for my business, which would be great. Overhead costs is another one, right? Reducing overhead costs might be something that's important, and talking to somebody if you have, if you're leasing a facility, talking to your landlord, seeing if there's a way to reduce some costs, or, you know, maybe you don't want to be tied into a long-term contract when things are a little bit unpredictable right now, right? So really looking at streamlining processes, overhead costs, all of those different things that come up within your business. All right, if you're keeping track, we're on number 4. Nope, 5, sorry. Maintaining a great credit score. So when you have issues that come up and you have to go obtain financing, especially if it's at the last minute, you want to make sure that your credit score is good. So pull your credit score, have a look at it, see if there's anything that you can fix with that. Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Melissa. And so, yeah, maintaining that credit score is important. It might not be something that's top of mind right now, but it's something that you should really maintain all the time. So that's just a little tip or tidbit to-do item to add to your list. Next is sort of related, but talking to the bank before you have problems. So if we're in a point like a recession, a possible recession, if you find your numbers are changing a little bit, now's the time to talk to the bank, not when things are dire emergencies. So have a backup plan, have a backup, maybe a line of credit. Maybe you've got credit cards lined up just in case. Talking to them about lowering your interest rates if possible. That's another one, right? Or trying to cut debt completely so you have less payments. In case something happens, you can weather the storm longer. So the worst thing to do is to go into the bank and say, things are bad. They're like, oh, we don't want any part of this. You're not getting more money from us, right? So making sure you have some of these things set up just in case. Next one, don't stop marketing. Number 7. When things get rocky, we want to pull back because we're afraid, we're worried. The first thing people want to cut is marketing, but we have to continue to market and let people know about our business, right? So don't stop marketing. Look for different ways and maybe even ramp up your marketing, just like during COVID, right? Again, look for different ways to market, different ways to connect with people, try new things, and don't stop marketing. It's the first one people want to cut. Don't do it. Next one, number 8, build multiple streams of income. So when I started, I was a realtor. Since then, I've done other things related to real estate, right? So we talked about a few of them, but you know, you could be a property manager, you could have a staging company, you can do photography for your own business and other realtors. I'm a marketing expert as a real estate agent. That's all we do, right? Well, we do other things, but one of the things we do is a lot of marketing for our homes that we have listed. And so I could also do that for other realtors or other companies, people that I know. So if you already are really good at something, how can you maybe go across and do that for other people? Or again, sort of this integration, right? So if I already have a real estate company, then to take on rental properties or to do staging, some of these things that are related to my business, I just take on more, again, vertically instead of horizontally. So those are a few things. We've talked about batching products together. There's affiliate marketing. That's another one. So again, what are the relationships that you can take advantage of with other people that you know, to build both businesses, right? That's the best way to do it. Again, it's relationships. Relationships are key in building businesses. Um, Adding physical products. So if you are, maybe you're a coach and you can add a book that you can sell, or the opposite, you already have physical products, but you want to add a virtual product. Lots of different things there. One thing I did was I created a day timer. It's called Win the Week, a weekly planner. And so that's a physical product that people can purchase from me. It's also something that I add on again, right? So when I'm going to see a couple about listing their home, then I leave them a day planner, a weekly planner as a gift. So again, different ways that you can use these products and sort of elevate yourself above the competition. Subscription model is another one, if that works in your business, to add subscription base. So if I sell mugs or I sell candles, why not have a candle of the month and create a subscription box for people, right? So you've got that consistent income coming in. Great thing to have when we're going through recession again. Consulting services is another one. So if you're great at what you do, but you've never done any consulting, maybe that's something you can add to what you do. If you have created multiple successful businesses, maybe you want to start business coaching because you obviously have some success in that industry already. So it's not necessarily adding something totally different. Look at what you're great at. Listen to feedback that you get from other people who are like, you're amazing at this. Then, so often we kind of slough it off. But those are the gifts that you have and that you can help others with, and obviously create more income for your business as well. Okay, so number 9, creating a budget and reviewing it frequently. Everyone hates that B word. Everyone hates the budget, but it's what we need to do. So instead of looking at it as a ball and chain, think of it as a roadmap. So if I was driving from Canada all the way to Florida, I don't just get in my car and I'm like, oh, this will all work out, right? We have to have a plan. We got to have a roadmap. I got to figure out where I'm stopping along the way, where I'm fueling up. How much is this all going to cost, right? I don't just get in the car and go. How about building a house? I don't build a house one day and just say, yeah, this will all work out. Well, there's 100 different steps that go into building a house, right? So a budget is the same. You got to have a budget for your household. You got to have a budget for your business. They're separate. So you could be just focused on your business and not even really know where the money's going personally, or the opposite. So cash flow, like we already talked about, is really important to be careful of, because you're going to have cash coming in and cash going out at different times, and you got to cover different expenses. So if you buy a lot of inventory and you get a deal for bulk purchasing, well, that's a lot of money that's suddenly gone, and then you got the sales later, right? So super important. Yeah, Haley, cash flow is the most important thing in your business. It's going to make or break you, 100%. So a budget is one piece, cash flow is another. They're two separate things, but so important. So it's not just creating that budget, but making the time to review it frequently. The household budget, if you're living with somebody, if you have a partner, they got to be involved. So even if you do money separately, you need to have plans. You need to be going over your hopes and your dreams and what you want to do with your finances together, even if you bank separately. And for your business, again, you have to be reviewing those numbers all the time. So my parents' business, they're retired now, but when they were running their business, it was big numbers coming in and out. And my mom was looking at that bank statement, bank account multiple times a day, sometimes. Really checking where money's coming and going, because it was big numbers. And so again, maybe once a week is enough for you. Maybe you got to be looking at those numbers multiple times a day. So very important. Okay, next one, number 10. Increase the skills of your employees, or even for yourself is the other one. So maybe you have an employee that does one thing really great, but you need to move into another part of the business. So for example, my employee is maybe great at entering my listings and doing some of that, but she could get better at video. There's one. Everyone loves video, or maybe you don't really love video, but it's kind of part of our world if you're on digital and social media type marketing, right? Video's the thing. Reels, get in front of the camera. So if she's not that great at that skill, that's something that has to be improved now because the business has changed. Marketing has changed, right? And so maybe I need to increase her skills. So instead of hiring somebody else again, or hiring somebody to do just that piece, maybe I can increase her skills and she can take a couple classes, whatever training's needed to do a really good job with Reels, right? So looking at what they do and can they do it better, or if there's different things that you want to take advantage of, new types of marketing or ways to increase sales in your business, or again, maybe decrease some of the expenses. How, if you've got great employees, maybe increasing their skills is something that you need to look at. Number 11, creating a business emergency fund. So we said business, but you need one for your house too. So 2 emergency funds, one for your personal finances and one for the business. For your personal finances, if you listen to all the personal finance gurus, you'll get lots of different answers. Have 6 months expenses saved, or have a few $1,000s saved. Look at what works for you and what makes sense and what your expenses are. If you're renting versus if you're a homeowner, that could look very different too, right? With the type of money that you have to put aside for expenses. If you don't have a car, and if I have a car, I have different expenses that might come up, right? So looking at what makes sense for you in your life, and then in your business as well, you've got to have some money put aside. We talked about, the backup plan of a line of credit or a loan or having credit cards, but even better, if you've got money set aside and you don't have that stress of like, oh no, sales are going down, I'm in trouble in like 1 month, right? That's a huge stress. But if you are like, I can easily go 3 to 6 months if I hit some type of curveball through a recession, I'm going to be okay, even better. And again, interest rates have gone up, right? So if you've got cash sitting there and you can use that instead of taking out a loan or something else that costs a lot, then it's probably makes more sense doing that. So thinking about the business emergency fund. Number 12, and the final one, thinking about strategic partnerships. So we talked about that a little bit with affiliate marketing, but who are people around you who can help you, right? Who are some of those key players? So if I have a staging company, I should talk to property managers. I should talk to other realtors. I can help them in their business. Who are people who can help me in my business as well, right? So looking at those types of relationships that make the most sense for what you sell. And sometimes it's not even somebody that has to be directly related. So don't put people in a box. Don't say, okay, well, if I talk to realtors and property managers, that's it. No, there's all kinds of people out there who are still willing to help you in your business, even if it's not somebody who can directly relate to that. So if you're going to different groups like BNI, you could have a plumber who can help you and refer people to you in your staging business, and they may never use you in their business, right? Because plumbing and staging is not related other than they're both in homes. But so sometimes, we think of just kind of those direct lines of people that we could work with, but look at Haley's group. There's thousands of people who can maybe help you in your business, right? So it starts with reaching out to people, again, being brave and asking, how can I help you in your business? And how can you help me in my business, right? And looking for that help. So I don't want to hear anybody affected by the recession or any downturn, right? It was so hard during COVID when people were losing their restaurants and all these difficult things, right? And people who had fitness gyms who could only run 6 months of the year. And I know personally these people who struggled with that in our area. And when you come up with a recession, it's the same thing, right? You know, people are struggling, they're just not talking about it. And that might be you, and maybe that's why you're on the summit here, but look for opportunities. I've given you a lot of different options here of places to kind of start. But really try as much as possible to ramp up sales. Don't look at it as like, well, we're heading into a recession, I guess my sales are going down. But be like, no, I'm going to use that as fuel to really push hard, market, make those relationships, and build up my sales and come out of it 110% instead of struggling. So I just want to close with, I'm available if you guys need help. If you just want to chat about some stuff, reach out. Obviously, I do money coaching, so for small businesses or for you personally. Sometimes couples struggle too, and they don't know how to talk about money. It's just like always a fight. And so when you have somebody who can come in and just help facilitate that conversation, it goes so much further. So if you or someone you know is struggling around money, just reach out and I'd be happy to help you. And my link is investorsmarts.ca. CA is for Canada, not California. Sometimes I wish I was over there when I'm dealing with -40 weather. But yeah, investorsmarts.ca. So that's my website. Reach out to me. I'm obviously in Haley's group and all over social media. You can't miss me. So thank you, Haley, again for running this summit. I know that these aren't easy to do. So thank you so much for all the time you put into this and the group and everybody, and helping us all do better in our businesses. So thanks again, Haley.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for sharing